Yay! We did it! Oh my gosh.
Oh man, that was smooth, huh?
Good. I needed to use my breathing exercises.
I don't blame you. I was like, how did this? Nothing like being prepared for these things, you know? Who knew
Well, this is my
Apple would make me update?
first Instagram live, so I had no idea what to expect. I didn't prepare at all. I was like, maybe I should have gotten on before.
Well, here's what I will say. Since it's your first Instagram live, this will be the best one you've ever done. Let's start right there, okay? Let's just start on a positive note. This is going to be the best one you've ever did, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Anybody who's out there watching us, I see my friend David out there.
Yeah.
A couple other folks joining in, but this is Catherine Juliano. She is one of our therapists at Gooding Wellness. A great friend, amazing therapist. We're so fortunate to have you on our team. And I know today we're going to talk a little bit about self-care. And, and we especially always kind of like post on Instagram about Self-Care Sunday. So, but it would be kind of go in line with that. But can you just, Kat, maybe introduce yourself to everybody a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. First and foremost, I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about this topic because it's one of my favorite topics. But my name is Catherine Juliano. I typically go by Kat. I'm a licensed social worker. I've been in the field for a couple of years now. I started, just give you a really brief history. I started my work at the Northport VA Medical Center, and my training began with the Employee Assistance Program. I mentioned that because I feel like wellness and self-care sort of always shows up in my work. So I really,
it's a thread that goes through everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I started as a social worker, leading groups on a variety of topics like remaining healthy at work, reducing work-related stress. And I also have a background in yoga. So I've always incorporated movement and mindfulness into my practice as well. And currently I work as a full-time project coordinator for the East Northport Community Drug and Alcohol Task Force. I started their first ever youth coalition. So I also work with youth, and our mission is to promote health and wellness. Again, it's showing up and as a way to prevent drug and alcohol use. And then of course,
guys, and I just to interrupt, I love the work you guys do over there at the Drug and Alcohol Task Force. I mean, it's such a great asset to our community. You know, we've always tried to support you guys with anything you're doing, but you guys do some great work over there. So thank you for all you do for them.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, it's thank you so much. It's a great organization. You know, our mission is to reduce drug and alcohol use among youth. And our youth members are really smart. They think, they brought up that health and wellness is a prevention strategy. So that's, we always try to incorporate that and just improve our community to make it healthier for our residents. So aside from that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to say is the one thing, you kind of brushed on it briefly, but the thing of wellness, I always try to emphasize in our practice and what we do is, you mentioned too that you're a yoga instructor, and I think we often in the mental health field underestimate the importance of yoga, meditation, movement, and that really is all tied into our mental health. It's not just sitting on a couch talking about some of the stuff that we have to do, although that's really important. It's also about the physical movement, the overall wellness plan, as you will, right?
Yeah.
And yoga is such a great yoga movement, meditation. It's like, it should like be like soups and sandwiches for mental health, right?
Yeah.
They should go together. It's so important.
I agree. I think, overall wellness, like you said, is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social. It's not just sitting, like you said, sitting and talking about it. It's about how are we going to make small changes in a variety of ways to feel better, to live better, to be better, and I know
I
that
think that
movement.
kind of, I was going to say, what I think what that kind of brings us right into the idea of this of self-care Sunday, and whether it's movement, we'll talk about a couple of things that I think, I know we both kind of feel are important for self-care, but maybe one of the things to kind of just get out of the way, and I know you and I have talked about this, that is self-care, what it's not, like it's self-care is not a one and done, I mean, I think sometimes we all think of, well, if I just, go have this bubble bath once a week, like it's, yeah, that's nice. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's for everybody, it's
Yeah.
very individual, right? It's like, what are we going to
Hmm.
be doing proactively to promote our health, to promote our mental clarity, to promote our own wellness, right?
Yeah. And I think also, I often hear, well, I don't have any time. How am I gonna schedule this? I have another thing I have to do. And I think that self-care doesn't have to be, like you said, like a whole elaborate bubble bath or a vacation in Hawaii. I think it's small changes to your daily life that can make such a big difference. So it's whether it's just, taking your dog for a walk, not just around one block, but two, or,
And
waking
especially
up.
if like, and especially when you enjoy that, right? Like
Yeah.
I like, you bring up the dog. My dog just, I adore my little pup, but it's like some days I do this and I know it's wrong because I tell people the opposite, which is, I'll walk her later. I'll walk her later. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
I love walking that dog. It brings me so much joy,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I do it, and it's like, so it really sometimes takes an effort to not just put self-care off, put that thing off that you really enjoyed, just to put it off because I had this ridiculous list of things to do.
Yes. And I think you really make a good point that self-care is to be enjoyed. It's something that is enjoyable to you, which is so different for everybody. And I
Yeah.
also I also think too that we have to be careful about what we choose as our self-care. So if are you seeking things that are short-term pleasure, pleasurable activities, like let's say, eating a whole cake, like is that sustainable? or or are those, when we walk away from self-care, I think the difference is that we feel nourished, and we feel nurtured, and we feel fuller.
Mm. Fuller. I like that. That is it. It's, that whole concept of filling up our own cups, as that, a lot of us are giving all the time at our works, at our homes, especially this past year, where it's like, it's how do we just stop and do something for ourselves? And I always like to use the word um, deliberate, like
Yes.
to not just do,
Yes.
well, oh, just think back to this last week. Oh, this week I sat down and I did this with my partner, or we did, but like to really plan out, like I want to be deliberate about that. This weekend, I want to go on that extra long walk with the dog. This weekend, I'm going to clean up my desk, which has been driving me crazy. Like whatever that looks like for you is to
Hmm.
be really purposeful and deliberate about it. I think, it's how we be proactive as opposed to reactive
Yeah.
with self-care, right?
And I think, I well, we've talked about this. Like sometimes it feels like counterintuitive, or like, oh, I'm so tired. Like I don't want to go for a walk, but you know that it makes you feel better. So it's like it's doing it no matter what.
Anyway,
Yeah, anyway, doing it
yes,
anyway. Exactly.
making it part of the routine. Yeah, especially when like I think we could all get stuck in a moment, or stuck in a listen, we're inside all sorts of things, but it's like if I know walking is my go-to thing that helps me feel good, right? Then I really got to make sure I'm bringing that into my life. If walking's not my thing, then it's like I could put it off,
Yeah.
but it's like what is that thing that brings about brings you some joy, that helps you kind of get away from the rest of the week and all the stressors that you're facing, right?
Yeah. 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 And
And
I
it
think,
does look different for everybody. And I love the way you said that. It's, your
yeah,
self-care is going to be different than mine, right?
and it should be, I really believe that life is to be enjoyed. So, why spend your time doing something that you're like, I can't believe I have to do this, like that's going to make it feel like more of a chore. And I think it's like, why is self-care so important? Such a buzzword. We hear it all the time. Why is it so important? And I think, I realized, and I've shared this with you, like, when I first made the connection that taking care of myself, it improved my life, was when I was in undergrad. And I remember, walking to class, and I would pick myself up my favorite delicious cup of coffee, and I would, walk to class. And by the time I got to class, I was like, whenever I walk and I move, I feel better, and I feel like I can pay attention. I feel like I'm a better student. I feel brighter. I feel like I want to say hi to whoever's sitting next to me, versus just feeling like, ugh,
just
like I don't even want to be
trudging
here.
through.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think why we do self-care is so that we can feel better, and we can be the best version of ourselves. And
yeah. No, it's funny because I went back to my head. I went, well, there's so much we have to do, but what do we want to do? Like, I want to walk. I forget I want to walk, or I forget I like stopping at my little coffee spot, or I forget I like to go down, bring the dog to the, whatever that is, like, instead of thinking what I have to do, what do we want to do? Right? Because there is a million things we have to do. My week is filled with things I have to do, but am I really giving some purposeful attention to the things that I want to do?
yeah.
I want to spend time with my wife. I want to spend time with the kids. I want to spend, I want to not be at work and turn that brain off a little bit, right?
Yeah. Definitely. And I think I love I also love the word deliberate. I was just thinking about that the other day. I love that word, because it's like we have to take purposeful action to be well. It takes some effort. It takes some um, take some action.
Absolutely. Everything does. Not,
Yeah.
nothing, anything we need to work at. We have a career, we have to go to training, we have to, practice our career. If we are in a relationship, it takes time, it takes effort, right? And when we have a relationship with ourselves, it's the same thing. It takes effort, it takes emphasis, it takes, what do we it just doesn't happen, right? I think that's the thing we kind of forget about. Things don't just happen unless we are very deliberate about it and make sure they happen. Like for you, it sounds like movement's a big thing. For me, movement's a big thing. You know, but it's effort in a very busy world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it always comes back to that that knowing that if I do, if I walk, or if I move, or if I have meaningful connections with the people that I love, or it's saying no when I'm too tired and I know I need to go to bed. It's that awareness that, okay, so if I do that, I feel better.
Yeah.
If I feel better, I do better.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to you, like, and besides the movement, there's so that the stress we put on ourselves, right? I mean, you mentioned two great self-care strategies right there, which was really boundaries. How do we say, what are we saying no to, and really connection, right? And especially this past year, we talk about connection. If we really enjoy certain people's company, are we carving out time to be with those people? Right? It's like, I've had a couple of weeks where, the week is crazy. It's overwhelming. I come home, I sit in the couch and I'm like, wait a second. I'd really rather be inside talking to my wife, but I'm isolating because I'm so overwhelmed. It's like,
Right,
no, get up
right.
and do that, right? Like I need, or even the people we don't see so much. Maybe it's a family member or whatever. It's like they're friends in my life that I don't reach out to as much because I'm so busy. And maybe that's a connection that I think is so important, that does, again, feed our soul, like you said, spiritually,
Yes.
emotionally, like all.
I think we've really learned that this year, like how important connection is, because we were, taken away, those, regular connection outlets are taken away from us. And then we realized, like, oh my gosh, I love school because I get to see my friends, or I love going out to dinner because I love connecting face to face. And I think a long time ago I read an article about how we're social beings. So when we are with other people that we love and that fill us up, we're actually improving our mood. We improve how we feel. There's like
Right.
chemicals
And
in the body that improves
I was gonna
health.
say, and there's science in brain chemistry. It's not just feel good, like it's actually science based. Movement
Exactly.
creates endorphins. Connection with people creates, releases serotonin. Like these are like natural antidepressants that we all need, right? And when we're
Yes.
all on this little screen, man, it's really hard to get some
Yeah.
of that, right?
Yes. Yeah. And but I also think like with the boundaries, like there's also this component of understanding and knowing yourself well. And I think this is something you learn in counseling. It's like the skills to say no when you need to say no, which is, I'm a work in progress, but
You and me both. You and me both,
but
right?
like
And just because saying no is like, and the whole expression, it's overplayed now. It's saying no is a complete sentence. There's going
yeah,
to be times that we just can't do everything, and
it's
it's
okay.
okay. Yeah, that was well planned out there. But it
Yeah.
is okay, right? Like it's when I hear someone else that, this is the little, activity or strategy I always talk with my clients about. When I hear someone else tells them no, they're like, okay. But then when we start to say no, it's like, oh, I shouldn't say no. Like, well,
Yeah.
why is the rule so different for us than for someone else? Like, it's so necessary right now
Yeah.
to sometimes say, I can't do that.
Yeah. And I think it's you know uh, something. I think counseling is such a great space to really learn and practice setting boundaries. But it's like, so when we're doing something, um, are we doing it at the expense of ourselves? Because then we just leave, we leave feeling resentful, we leave feeling frustrated, and it's like, well, so that's a clue that we might need to set a boundary. And when we set boundaries, like we just feel better.
Well, and
You know?
it's so like that is the root of resentment, right? That I'm going along with something I don't want to do. It could be in a relationship, it could be in a job, it could be in a hobby, it could be in any like. But if we're not being deliberate, remember again, back to deliberate. We're not being deliberate that this is something I want to do or it's important to me. That's the breeding ground for resentment, right?
Yeah.
Right. We are allowed to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's hard, but a lot of us, some of us, grew up in homes where you weren't allowed to say no, or, generation where kids, you can't really speak up, or different cultural issues where you can't speak up, and it's like now, whereas we're adults, that's a hurdle we have to kind of work on to recognize that some of our thinking with saying no is faulty,
Yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah, I
right?
think so. Certainly, I think it's, we don't have the skills. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like we're disappointing other people. It feels, all that stuff. And but we can build those skills, and it feels better. It
Yeah.
comes down to just it feels better.
Yeah,
You
and sometimes too, it's funny, it feels better, but it's also it can at first, like any skill, if you go out to start running, 5K, you start running, you're going to be uncomfortable, right? So in the beginning of saying no, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like you've always said yes, and been
Mhm.
resentful. Now you're trying to say no and take care. It's okay to be a little discomfort. It's still the right thing to do. And then that's how we practice that skill,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we get better with it in time and practice, just like we do when we go to the gym lifting weights or running, 5K or whatever it is. It's a tool to be practiced.
Yeah, that's a really good example. That's a really good example. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's between the boundaries, movement, connection, any other topics that you think that we sometimes overlook in the area of self-care? Because one thing I always like to bring up, and I'll come back to you, but is the self-talk.
Mm.
You know, if on a bad day, if anybody talked to you the way I sometimes talk to myself,
yeah,
I would be, I'd be worried. I can't. I'm trying not to curse, I guess, on Instagram, but you know what I mean. Like, but like, and that voice, that can sometimes be the most critical voice at all. Is can we catch ourselves when we're being way too hard and critical on ourselves? Right. That self-talk is huge.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I joke to myself. It sounds silly, but I'll say, like, if I catch myself in negative self-talk, I'll actually kind of say silently, like, hey, don't talk to my friend Kat like that. Because we can just be so cruel to ourselves and so hard on ourselves. And
yes.
And I think we don't realize, like, how destructive and pervasive the negative self-talk is, how much it inhibits us from doing, or it gets in the way of us relating to other people, or whatever it is. It can really be destructive, and so it's important to be watchful of that. And
and to be watchful of that, because this dialogue does happen to us in our heads, that we have these conversations. And just like before we said it's okay to say no, like, we also need to replace that negative one with a positive, that it is okay. Like, it's okay if you need a day off. It's okay if you wanted to do this, but now after this horrible week, you feel like you can't do it. Like, to give yourself that permission, not just and stop the negative, but also how do we build up the positive talk, like that, like, and you said, well, like, I would never talk to Kat the way you talk to Kat, right? I just wouldn't, right?
That is such a good point, because I think we're conditioned, at least I'm conditioned to feel like I've got to be productive. My productivity is somehow tangled up with my feelings of self-worth, or feelings of being good enough. And so sometimes when I have this opportunity for self-care, and I take time for myself, I also get my negative self-talk kind of says to me, you're being lazy. And then I have to catch myself and say, no, it's important that I take this time, because we're not, again, like, life is not just to be working, or filling up space, or, being productive, or doing, like, sometimes I just need to be.
As we all do, right? We absolutely all do. And it's funny, because the other day when Michael and I were talking about something, the word kept coming up of balance, right? Like, I love my work. I love it.
Me
right?
too.
And I can also go too far with it, right? In terms of not giving myself a time off. And then I might do that same thing that you say, like, well, I should, shoulding all over myself. I should be doing more, right? And it's like both, like, it's all right to have both, that it's all right to really work hard. And it's also all right to kind of step back and take a break when we need to take those breaks.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's coming back to setting a boundary, and it was just came to my head. I think especially with remote learning and remote work, that boundary of, like, putting work away.
Turn that screen off.
Turn it off. It's okay. You don't need to be checking. I'm talking to myself right now. You don't need to check
as we're on a
screen,
which is even more fun, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And turn it off, and, like, you've done a good day's work. Now it's time to connect, or now it's time to rest. So
yeah.
Yes.
The one line that I say often, and is I actually put it on the bottom of our Good and Wellness website. It's to be gentle with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I say that all the time. It's like, if I could just be gentle with myself, because that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
In mindfulness, they talk about one of my authors I love is John Kabat-Zinn. Is, paying attention on purpose, to the present moment without judgment, right? And that ties so much into self-care because this is our Sunday, right? This is our one Sunday we have. Like, I got to enjoy this moment right here, right now, right? And if I judge myself, I can ruin I always joke, I can ruin a perfectly good moment at any moment, right? just by what goes on up here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So can we be gentle with ourselves as we try to figure this out? And then maybe some days I'm more critical myself than others. And maybe other days it's easier to practice self-care than others. And maybe we just got to try to do the best we can.
Yeah. And I, it goes back to being proactive and being deliberate about what your self-care is going to look like for you. Where is it going to fit? And I love that metaphor you use. Like, at first it might feel like a little bit uncomfortable, like, oh, should I be doing this? I don't know. But as you set that time aside and you continue to practice it, it starts to become just part of what your life is.
Of who you are. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, who you are, right.
And then we look forward to it. It's like,
and then it's like, oh, I got to do this. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
But like any good habit, it's practice. And self-care is definitely another one of those, non-judgment is practice, boundaries are practice. Like, all these things are really, practice, and I think it's worth repeating. We've said it a couple of times today. What self-care looks like for you could look different from me, right? Could look different to somebody else who might be watching this, right? Like, we all have, our own personal needs that we need to kind of, get back in touch with who we are and what we're doing.
Yeah. It's I sort of joke, but I explain that self-care, anything that's just going to make you feel like just delicious, like feeling good.
Ooh, good word. I like that. Delicious. Yeah.
Like,
it's a good word.
It's different for everybody.
So we're going to wrap up in a couple minutes, but I was just curious, when you're working with clients, I know you work a lot with, young adults and teens, like, how do you see counseling helping someone come up with we often talk about a wellness plan or a self-care plan. How do you see people utilizing, like, how can coming to see Kat kind of help you develop that deliberate plan?
I'm sorry, you cut out. What was the last part of the question?
I was just going to say, when we're working with some of your clients, how do you, I know we know that you're often helping them work on a self-care plan or a wellness plan. How do you see that they're utilizing counseling to help develop that? It's because I feel like sometimes they're not always aware. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I think
glitchy, internet.
We're glitchy. I think that's a really good point. Sometimes, when we first come in to counseling, we don't even realize that it's available to us. Important to to be well, and to feel good, and so what's your sleeping routine like? How what do you eat? Are you getting sunshine? Are you and then important that we take care of ourselves, and like we've said many times, it's different for everybody. In counseling, I just
losing you on the internet a little bit. Okay. No, I think we're glitching out a little bit here on Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi, but But one of the things I know we've talked about too, I love when we bring something up like the sleep. Like, what
Mhm.
did you eat today? Did you get outside today? And people like just don't think about it, right? Because we're so busy in our like that's where it's like a good counselor and having someone talk to, whether it's a counselor, a friend, or whatever, like can be so powerful in recognizing, wait a second, I've been in front of this screen all day today. I didn't get out in the sunshine, or I ate junk food all day today, or whatever that is, right? To help us kind of create a better awareness of what we're depriving ourselves of.
Exactly. And I think a counselor is so important because it's someone who knows you, who's asking you about those things, right? Bringing it to your awareness, and also what's getting in, how can we do something differently, and that's where I think counseling is so important because we're not often asked in our personal lives, like, are you taking care of yourself? And what do you think that looks like, and how can we get that, how can we get that for you? And that's what I think, that's so the most valuable part about counseling. And so for me, I'm always looking at a bigger picture. Those things I know personally, that the amount of sleep I get, the food I'm eating, the movement I'm making, the sunshine, the fresh air, all those things impact how I feel. And so, I always really try to help my clients become aware of that, and incorporate some of that self-care.
It's so true. It's so true. I feel like we can really be, as therapists or even just as people or friends, individuals, like give people permission to take care of themselves. I think there's still this part of society is like you got to just work to the bone. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and the if that is not always the most productive way, right? Not only does it cost you mentally, but your productivity actually goes down. There's a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
studies that show the more when you take care of yourself, and again, the balance, it actually
Hmm.
can improve your productivity. So like there's a great chart we have that I should share on social media or something like that about productivity versus stress. At a certain point, stress is good for productivity, but at a certain point, it just crashes
Yeah,
off. And
yeah, yeah.
that's the self-care that keeps us in that little sweet spot so we can stay productive and take good care of ourselves.
Hmm. Yeah,
Balance, right?
balance. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I think we've I could definitely, you and I have spent long times talking about these things, and
Yeah.
I could probably go on for another for forever here, but it's Sunday and I want you to take care of yourself.
Yes, yes.
So, um, Kat, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on to do this, and always enjoy talking to you. Always enjoy your friendship, and
Yes,
you
appreciate
gave
it.
me a lot of food to think about today in terms of how I'm practicing my own self care.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. And if anybody, I was just thinking, like if anybody's watching this and they feel like they want to improve their self-care, you know, strategies, or have any barriers, or kind of like, I don't know what that is for me, you could contact us at Gooding
Mm-hmm.
Wellness or Long Island Teletherapy, or make a comment below the post, and we could put some. I'm taking over your Instagram right now, Gordon. But
Do
like,
it. Do it. It's all right.
please ask questions, and because we're here as a support and as a resource, and so we're here for you. So comment, ask questions, all that stuff.
Comment, ask questions, and to know that we're never alone, right?
Yeah.
Whoever's out there, if you had a question sticking around your head, ask it. Like you could personal message us or just put it in the comments or whatever, but ask the questions because we're all not that unique. We're all trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And whatever we're facing, we never have to face it alone. I'm a big believer in that. So, um, our information is at goodingwellness.com. You can reach out to Catherine or myself there. And Catherine, thank you for mentioning that. Any comments, questions, please put it in the comment box. And I'm old and I don't know what I'm
we
doing
don't know.
sometimes.
Wherever
But you
the
do. You're better.
comments go, put them.
So thank you
Right.
so much for talking. You and I will talk soon. And for everyone out there, please thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.